like to say that people lie because I genuinely don't think people lie to us, but I do think sometimes they are polite.
Right. You mentioned it earlier, that context, right? That career context, that longitudinal understanding of a product or a service or what you've been researching is not something that an individual study can first reflect and two, pivot on during conducting that research. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we had an interesting experience at my current job about a month ago when we were running some interviews, and we had accidentally run with a question some stakeholders had, and we hadn't fixed it, and that's my fault. And the questions were around like, in this interface, would you want to see an icon representing this? Would you want to see an icon representing this? Would you want to see an icon representing this? These are crappy questions, but I was in a rush and I kind of said, well, let's go with them and just see what people say. But when we started doing the interviews, we of course, what do you think they answered? Yes to everything. And so we improvised a question. And when we realized we were all improvising it, we put it in the script. But then we said to people, what's the most number of icons you'd want to see next to this piece of information? And almost everybody said 3. We could have said, do you want to see this? Do you want to see this? We had a list of like 10 things that could have had an icon, and they were just saying yes to everything. But when we really asked them, and that to me is the critical thinking piece, would an LLM or an AI system have thought to realize, wait a minute, these questions aren't really getting at the right thing. The real question here is not, do you want to see an icon for this? Because it's yes to everything. It's, does it have to be surfaced at this place in the interface based on your task and your needs? And ultimately, for a lot of it, it was, I want to see that, but it doesn't have to be there.
So your stakeholders were looking for a validation of that icon, right?
Or they were looking for the green light to start putting a lot of icons in the interface or some sort of color coding. The exact solution wasn't pre-decided, but it sounded like they thought people want to see a lot more icons in this interface. And ultimately, we found that they did want to know some of that information, but it didn't have to be on the main screen. It could be one click away in a details overlay. But we had to find that out to tell them that, because otherwise I could very easily have seen this team, even with the best of intentions, because I do work with a great team that I genuinely like. I think they would have had the best of intentions in thinking, oh, this information helps people, put these icons out here. And so you need that aspect of research, and otherwise a less experienced researcher or AI, which is a very less experienced researcher, might have just said, hey, people want icons for all this stuff, get the icons out there.
Yes, it ties to that idea of a PM or PO wants a very specific question answered. Will they use this? So they will ask that very specific question. And to your point, the person will say yes. Where a researcher knows that that's a bullshit answer and that people lie, and will ask about other things around that to prove or disprove that hypothesis.
I don't like to say that people lie because I genuinely don't think people lie to us, but I do think sometimes they are polite. And the way that I like to explain this is when I speak live somewhere, if I have this particular slide in my deck, I wear this wacky Delta CX shirt that I had custom made for me. And it's meant to look like a rugby uniform shirt with stripes on it and stuff. And I'll go up to someone in the front row and I'll go, do you like my shirt? And you see there's a moment of panic in which they don't know whether they should be polite and say yes or more honest and say no. Maybe they don't know me. And very often they'll go, yes. And then I say, do you want one like this? And usually by then they know I'm having fun and they'll go, no. And I'll go, and you don't really like it, do you? And they'll go, no. And I go, and this is what happens. You know, when if you do bad research, do you like my shirt? Yeah. Do you want one like this? Yeah.
That's a very good example.
Check out all my interviews with industry leaders on BlatzChatz.